I am Betty Michelle, and I am beyond excited to have you join me for my podcast, The Purpose Talk, your weekly dose of inspiration, biblical truths, practical guidance, and heartfelt conversations, empowering you to live a life of purpose, creating the life you've always dreamed of. Each week, you'll join me to embark on a journey towards discovering your purpose, truly uncovering the unique gifts and talents that define you, and gaining clarity on the direction your life is meant to take. We will embark on a journey towards pursuing your dream, following the passions that ignite your soul, and turning your aspirations into reality with unwavering determination. Taking bold steps to live out your true calling and transforming your intentions into impactful actions that lead you to a fulfilling and purpose-driven life. So join me every week on this journey to pursue purpose. It's one worth taking. Let's go. Welcome back to the Purpose Talk, where we dive into discovering your life purpose and living a life that's aligned with it. I'm your host, Betty Michelle, and today's topic is all about redefining success and what it truly means to achieve something in life. We're going to unpack how society's definition of success impacts your purpose. Pursue how your purpose can lead to a different kind of success. And act. How can you take action today to align your own definition of success with your authentic self? Before we get started, I want to jump right in with reflection to set the tone for today's episode. Imagine for a moment that you couldn't use any of the typical labels to describe yourself. No job title, no academic degree, no social status. Without those things, who are you? You know where we are going with this by now. Here's the big question. If you couldn't point to any accomplishments or possessions or status, how would you define your worth? This is really important because for many of us, our self-worth is wrapped up in titles, materialistic things, and what society says we need to achieve. But today, my friend, I'm challenging you to think deeper about success and explore what it really means to you. Let me take you back to a pivotal moment in my life. There I was, working a job I had strived for, surrounded by all the things society tells me are equivalent to success. The title, the paycheck, the respect from my peers. From the outside, it probably looked like I had it all together. But deep down, I was asking myself one question over and over and over again. Is this it? Now, mind you, this was very early in my career. I would say about year 3, but I was still asking myself, is this it? Because there had to be more. I remember one evening sitting alone in my office after hours of just looking at the walls and looking at everything I had built around me. I was thinking about how I viewed each promotion, each new achievement, and how it would somehow fill the void inside of me. But the higher I was climbing, the emptier I felt. It was as if I was chasing something that always stayed just out of reach. Each time I achieved something new, the satisfaction I felt was so temporary. Soon I found myself setting a new goal, striving harder for the next thing, and hoping it would be the key to finally feeling fulfilled. I realized that I wouldn't shake the emptiness on my own. So I reached out to my pastor and asked him the very question that was weighing on me. Is this it? Is this all there is? I will never forget that moment. He didn't give me a quick answer or a generic response. Instead, he asked if I would meet in person. That meeting will become a turning point in my life. When we sat down together, he listened patiently as I poured out my frustrations, the pressure I felt, the exhaustion of always striving, and the emptiness that lingered despite all that I had achieved. And then he gently reminded me of something so simple, but so profound. Jesus is all you need. He looked at me and said, Betty Michelle, you are measuring your worth and success by a standard that will never satisfy you. Only Jesus can fill that void. It was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. But at the same time, it was a truth that I had been running from. I had been so busy chasing the American dream, so focused on society's definition of success, that I had forgotten that none of it had anything to do with my purpose, and most importantly, nothing to do with my salvation. It's so easy to get caught up in the grind. Society tells us that success is defined by how much we have, what titles we hold, and how high we can climb. We chase after things that give us temporary satisfaction: new cars, bigger houses, more money. But the truth is, these things never fully satisfy. They leave us constantly craving more, thinking that the next promotion, the next achievement will somehow be enough. But the problem with temporary satisfaction is just that it's temporary. It doesn't last. And as long as we chase after it, we'll find ourselves in a never ending cycle of striving for more without ever feeling truly fulfilled. I wish I could tell you that this realization happened overnight for me, but it didn't. After that conversation with my pastor, I began to question everything I had worked for. I can't tell you how many times I thought about walking away from it all, long before I actually quit my job, the one I mentioned over and over again, right? There were days when I would sit at my desk, staring at my laptop screen, thinking, why am I here? What am I really doing this for? The answer was never clear because deep down, I knew I was striving for things that didn't align with who I truly was and what God was calling me to do. I remember feeling so conflicted. On one hand, I had worked hard for the life I was living. And on the other hand, I knew that I wasn't living in alignment with my purpose. It took a lot of soul searching, prayer, and guidance from God to finally realize that I needed to let go of society's expectations and start living for something greater. During this season, I really questioned over and over and over again, is this it? So much so that I started to seek out ways in which I could answer that question. It led me to joining a Bible study group that fall at my church called Jesus Over Everything. It was based on the book by Lisa Whittle, and let me tell you, that study opened my eyes in ways I never expected. Week after week, we dove into the truth that we often place things above Jesus in our lives: our careers, our families, our material possessions, and we do it thinking that those things will bring us joy and fulfillment. But in reality, they often pull us further away from what matters most. One of the biggest takeaways for me from that study was the simple truth: striving for anything other than Jesus will never lead to true fulfillment. I realized that I had been striving for things that had nothing to do with my salvation, my faith, or my purpose. I had been chasing after success defined by the world instead of success defined by God. And in doing so, I had lost sight of the one thing that truly mattered: my relationship with Jesus. I started to think about when I lost sight of that relationship. When did I stop rising at 5 a.m. to dive into my devotionals? When did I stop praying around the clock? What things were getting in the way of me having simple conversation and relationship with Christ? Those were the questions that I continued to ask myself during this study. Here are 3 takeaways about redefining success that resonated with me during that season. 1, prioritizing Jesus above all else. When we put Jesus in his rightful place at the center of our lives, everything else begins to fall into its proper perspective. Success is no longer about titles, status, or possessions. It's about living in alignment with God's will for our lives. Surrendering control. So often we hold on to control because we think we know what's best for our lives. But true success, the kind that brings peace, comes from surrendering control to God and trusting that His plans are greater than ours. My friend, living with less but having more. This one hit me so hard. Society tells us that more is always better. More money, more stuff, more achievements. I mean, my closet is filled to the top with more. And what does it really do for my life? True enough, I look nice when I go out with my friends, but I am a mother of three who has a chaotic schedule Monday through Friday and some Saturdays and Sundays. When do I really have time to go out? So why is my closet so filled with more? And if you can resonate, I just ask you to question that about all areas of your life. Where is it that I have been living with more and thinking that it is supposed to define me or give me some sense of worth? So let me take you back. Lastly, living with less but having more. Society tells us that more is always better. More money, more stuff, more achievements. But the truth is, when we live with less and focus on what really matters, we find that we actually have more. More of what really matters. More peace, more joy, and most importantly, more fulfillment. You see, it was during this Bible study that I finally began to see the truth. I realized that all of the things that I had been striving for, the promotions, the titles, the accolades, had absolutely nothing to do with my purpose or my salvation. They were distractions, keeping me from living the life that God had called me to live. And once I came to terms with that, it became clear to me that it was time to make a change. Now I know what some of you are thinking, especially the people that know me. What about the career you've spent so many years building? Was there any purpose in the decade that I spent in education? Absolutely. I'm not saying that there is no purpose in your current season or in the achievements you've gained. After all, God gave us these gifts and talents to use as a way to serve Him and others. I genuinely miss the team and the students. I often wonder how the students are doing, both academically and socially. Are they thriving? Have they overcome some of the challenges that they were facing? Are they having fun? Safe fun at that. Safety was always my biggest concern, of course, as a director of operations. But really, I did find so much joy in watching every honors program, seeing their little feet run across the stage to accept their award and the smiles on their face from accomplishing something. I had so much fun at every grandparent's luncheon, watching them run out the doors of the school, run to the table where their grandparents were, giving the biggest hugs and ready to dive into a meal. Chick-fil-A at that, they always enjoyed it. And hosting every event that brought out laughter and joy in everyone, teachers, students, families, and even the board of directors. So I enjoyed my time in education immensely. And I'm grateful for the relationships and experiences that I've gained. But there's still a need to step back and look at the bigger pictures of our life plan. And it is important to ask ourselves, is what I'm doing aligned with my purpose? This is where I found my answer. As much as I love those moments, I realized that God was calling me to something greater, something that aligned not just with my talents, but with my purpose and with His plan for my life. I realized I had to stop chasing after worldly success and helping other people build their dreams and start to chase my own dreams and realize that worldly success is not what I need, but pursuing divine success is the turning point. So I made a decision to walk away from it all, maybe out of frustration or burnout, but yet I always knew that God was calling me to something greater. And He just used that burnout and frustration to help me walk into the next season of my life. But what about you? How long have you spent trying to build a life based on societal standards of success? For me, I was ready to live for a purpose that aligned with who I truly was and what I was created to do. Are you? So let's talk about it. How does our purpose lead to a different kind of success? Hear me well. I know. Not everyone is chasing a paycheck. Even in my 9 to 5 role in education, it was never about the paycheck. It was about the teachers, students, and the community we were building through education. I know for many of you, success is more than just about making money or keeping up with societal standards. Some of you are actually passionate about creating something meaningful, whether it's in your work, your relationships, or the impact you have on others. I do believe that, and the same was true for me. But no matter what the motivation, there comes a point where we all have to ask ourselves, what am I really striving for? If we only focus on personal gain, we miss out on the bigger picture of what success means. When we work to redefine success authentically, we shift our mindset from what we hope to gain to how we can make impact, true impact. There are countless examples of individuals who have redefined success to go beyond striving for personal gain. Take Yvon Chouinard, for example. He built a multi-billion-dollar outdoor apparel company. But for him, success wasn't about profit. In fact, in 2022, he transferred ownership of his company to a trust that used the profits to combat climate change. You see, success was about making an impact and leaving the world better than he found it. And he is just one example of that. Most importantly, I would be doing a disservice to this segment without mentioning biblical truth. In last week's episode, we talked about clarity amidst chaos, finding purpose in turbulence times. I highlighted how struggles often serve as a catalyst to help us discover our purpose. But here's the thing. Our chaos doesn't just reveal our purpose, it also reshapes how we view success. The storms we face, the uncertainty, and the obstacles all contribute to redefining what achievement looks like for us. Now, if you haven't had a chance to listen to last week's episode, I encourage you to go back and check it out because it lays a foundation for this discussion. It's worth noting that when we begin to shift our focus, when we step away from society's expectations and redefine success, we start to see a deeper meaning in our achievements. And with that said, I want to bring the story of a woman whose journey perfectly illustrates this point. Hagar, who's often overlooked, but incredibly powerful in teaching us about redefining success and walking in purpose. Hagar, an Egyptian slave in Genesis 16, was mistreated by Sarah and ran away into the desert, feeling forgotten, abandoned, and uncertain of her future. Yet even in her running, God sought her out. Like many of us, Hagar ran from her difficulties, feeling as though her life lacked value or purpose. But in the wilderness, she encountered God, who saw her. Hear me. Yet even in her running, God sought her out. He didn't just see her physical condition, but he saw her soul, her pain, her heart, and the deeper purpose he had for her. In Genesis 16:13, Hagar names God Elroy, which means the God who sees me. This is the moment that redefined Hagar's understanding of her worth and purpose. Much like Hagar, we may find ourselves striving for success, running from the pressures of life, or feeling unseen by the world. But true success comes when we allow ourselves to be fully seen by God, recognizing that our worth and purpose are found in His plan, not in worldly achievements. or societal's definition of success. When you start walking in your purpose, your definition of success changes. It's no longer just about what you achieve for yourself, but how your actions influence and uplift others. It moves from how much money you make to how much of an impact you're having. For me, stepping into my purpose, becoming a life purpose coach, and starting Purpose Walk Ministries was the moment I redefined success. It isn't just about the paycheck or the number of clients I can reach. It's about real transformation. It's about helping others unlock their gifts, pursue their dreams, and find meaning in their lives. That, for me, becomes the true measure of success. What impact am I truly having on others? Through life coaching, through my podcast, through the content that I put on social media, through the interactions where people get to have real, meaningful conversations with me. What impact am I having? And is real transformation happening? Because in those moments, that's where I feel the most successful. And just as Hagar learned to see her life differently after encountering God, we too can redefine success. I did, and so can you. It's about being fully seen in the eyes of God and aligning our lives with the purpose He has for us. So let's talk action and strategy. How can I apply this in real time? I have 3 steps for you. 1, reflect on what fuels you. Take time to think deeply about what truly motivates you. What gives you a sense of purpose and makes you feel alive? What are the activities or causes that ignite your passion? These are often clues to your purpose. 2, redefine your success criteria. Write down 3 to 5 things that presents true success for you. Put aside materialistic achievements, titles, or status. The things that seem to validate us. Put that aside. Is it about fostering meaningful relationships? Is it about contributing to your community? Is it about finding inner peace? Let your purpose guide this new definition of success. And lastly, number 3, let go of external validations. This can be difficult, but start by catching yourself when you seek approval from external sources. Each time you feel the need for validation through achievements or recognition, pause and ask yourself, why do I need this? Instead, focus on internal validation. Just knowing that you're walking in your purpose should be enough. Just like Hagar's moment in the wilderness, Proverbs 16:3 reinforces this truth. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. True success is not about chasing the world's definition, but about being seen by God and trusting that He has a plan for you. When you commit your life and purpose to Him, you step into a greater, more fulfilling form of success, one that goes beyond titles, money, possessions, recognition, or validation from others. So, how do we take the broader understanding of success and make it real in our everyday lives? How do we feel success, not just by societal standards, but by our own authentic measures? First, let's talk about what it means to feel success. The world often tells us that success is a destination marked by certain milestones: getting the promotion, buying the house, reaching financial independence. But let's be real, enduring success isn't about checking boxes. It's about the journey. All of those things that I mentioned are goals. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, because I know that our Father wants us to live an abundant life. He wants these things for us when we are walking in alignment with His will for our life. So you definitely should get that house and have that car and make the money that you need to take care of yourself and your family. I'm not saying that any of these things are wrong, but they should just be a goal. They should be seen as rewards for walking in your purpose and in alignment with God's will for your life, because He wants you to live an abundant life. So again, enduring success isn't about checking boxes. It's about the journey. And I want us to talk about that journey a little bit. What are you experiencing on the inside as you pursue your purpose? Success is a state of fulfillment, a deep satisfaction that comes from knowing you're in alignment with who you're meant to be. Take it this way. Research from Harvard's Grant Study, one of the longest studies of human development, supports this view, showing that true success and happiness are not determined by wealth or achievement, but by the quality of our relationships and the sense of purpose we feel. This underscores the idea that success is rooted in connection, both to ourselves and others. Again, it's about the journey. So, what does success feel like? Success in its truest form feels like peace. It feels like waking up knowing that you're walking in alignment with your values, your purpose, and your God given path. Let's reflect for a moment. Reflect on the times when you felt the most fulfilled. Were those moments when you hit a financial goal or got a title? Or were they the times when you were serving others, creating something from your heart, or sharing meaningful moments with loved ones? You see, in the Bible, there's a powerful and often overlooked aspect of Joseph's story that illustrates this deeper sense of success. Joseph's journey was filled with challenges, betrayal by his own family, false accusations, and imprisonment. However, Joseph's true success wasn't merely in his rise to power, but in his ability to recognize and act upon a higher purpose throughout his trials. Again, we looked at Joseph last week. We talked about his life, a life of chaos. There was so much chaos. But a hidden gem in Joseph's story is his ability to see and act upon his purpose even in the midst of suffering, right? We've mentioned this already. Let's talk about how God allowed for Joseph to serve even in his chaos, which later brought about success for Egypt, his family, and his life. When Joseph was in prison, he interpreted the dreams of Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker. Despite his own dire circumstances, Joseph took the opportunity to serve others. This act of service was not just about his personal survival, but about his alignment with God's purpose for him. It was through these interactions that Joseph was eventually remembered and called upon to interpret Pharaoh's dreams, which set the stage for his rise to power. In Genesis 40:14 through 15, Joseph says to the cupbearer, "But when all goes well with you, remember me and show me kindness. Mention me to Pharaoh and get me out of this prison. I was forcibly carried off from the land of the Hebrews, and even here, I have done nothing to deserve being put in a dungeon." Even in his darkest hour, Joseph maintained a focus on his purpose to help others, knowing that his true success was in fulfilling his God-given role, not in his immediate comfort. This aspect of Joseph's story highlights a profound truth. True success involves maintaining integrity and purpose even when life is hard. It's not just about achieving a particular status, but about staying in alignment with your purpose and values regardless of external circumstances. You see, it's easy to get caught up in thinking that success is defined by what we have. But as the Bible tells us in Luke 12:15, Jesus warns, "Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed." Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. My friend, our worth is not tied to what we accumulate. The world may tell you that success is about having more, but God's truth tells us that success is about being more faithful, more loving, more aligned with the purpose He has for our lives. Michelle Obama eloquently captures this sentiment in her book, Becoming. Success isn't about how much money you make. It's about the difference you make in people's lives. This quote aligns with the ideal that success is less about external validations and more about the internal fulfillment that comes from living out your purpose and positively impacting those around you. Let's take the time to translate these insights into practical, real time steps that you can apply in your life starting today. Journal your wins. Every night, write down at least 3 things you did during your day that made you feel successful. Not in a traditional sense, but in a way that aligns with your purpose. Did you help someone? Did you create something meaningful? Did you show love, patience, or compassion? These moments when we align our actions with our purpose are the true markers of success. Number 2, surround yourself with purpose-driven people. The company you keep can significantly impact how you define success. Make sure you're surrounded by people who encourage you to chase purpose over profit and meaning over material gain. Proverbs 13:20 says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." Your circle should support you in becoming the best version of yourself, not just the most successful by worldly standards. Number 3, define your success criteria. Sit down and write your personal definition of success. Think about what success feels like to you, not based on what others expect of you, but what truly fulfills you. Maybe it's creating meaningful relationships, impacting lives, or using your gifts to serve. Is your current definition of success leading you closer to God's purpose for your life, or is it pulling you away? As we continue to champion the week, here are questions to get you going after listening to today's episode. Am I chasing temporary satisfaction or external purpose? What am I putting above Jesus in my life? And how can I refocus my priorities? Am I striving for success defined by the world, or am I living in alignment with the success that God has for me? Remember, success isn't about what you have or what you've achieved in the eyes of the world. It's about living in alignment with God's purpose for your life. Let go of the need to prove your worth through titles, status, possession, and recognition, and start living for something greater. Jesus is all we need. He is all we need. When we put Him above everything else, the success we experience is not just fleeting or temporary, but lasting and deeply fulfilled. I encourage you to take a moment this week to realign your heart and mind with that truth, and know that true success isn't about what you do, but about who you are in Christ. Purpose Walk Community, as we come to a close, go out, make an impact, and live purposeful. Until next time, I'm Betty Michelle, and this is the Purpose Talk.